Hi, my name is Heather Feather. I'm the owner of Rare Bird Medicine. Today I wanted to talk about saving the earth. And that sounds crazy because, so much of my own youth, I felt like, how could I possibly save the earth? Even as I stepped towards adulthood, it was like, how can I make a difference? How much of a difference can I actually make? Okay, I can recycle. Okay, I can try not to buy items that are in plastic. With the plastic ocean problem, there's a movie on that. So then you go, okay, so let me not consume things in plastic. Can I take like glass jars to get my bulk foods? So we can start having these little ways that we try to like serve and be a grace and be a steward here of the earth. But it feels like a daunting task because if you've seen An Inconvenient Truth, if you've seen some of the available knowledge that is out there about where we are with the earth and where we're headed, it can be jarring, it can be alarming, it can feel overwhelming. So I wanted to talk about a couple of ways that you can be a tremendous contributor. I spent a lot of my youth being vegetarian, periods of it being vegan. I had a love of cheese. I think a lot of vegetarians struggle with releasing to become vegan. But to me, that was in my youth how I felt like, okay, this is how I'm going to serve the earth. Because when you're receiving data around being vegetarian, it's like vegetarians save this many number of trees per year because we cut down trees to create lots for cows to exist so that we can slaughter them, la 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 la. And you're taught like, oh, cows release methane gas, and when that methane gas is released from their bodies, and we have so many cows because so many are consuming meat, that gas increases the hole in the ozone layer. And so I really felt like, okay, this is one of the ways that I can serve the earth. And so I spent, over 10 years eating predominantly vegetarian, at periods vegan, and most of that period, more coconut milks or butters or whatever. Soy milk was available. We didn't have like 1,000 types of vegetarian milks back then, so it's just soy milk. But that's been consistently true for me. I still drink coconut milk. I still use coconut butter. However, I've really started to flip towards ensuring that I invest in, support, and contribute to the grass-fed industry and the pasture-raised industry. And here's why. First of all, don't take my word for it. I highly recommend watching Kiss the Ground and also watching Sacred Cow. These are two films that you can watch where all those delicious nuggets of data and facts and information are present from people that have in-depth studied the topic of soil health. Here's what I can tell you from my understanding from watching these films, that I've like been ruminating on since I watched these films, is the importance of soil health. And I never thought about that, about the value and virtue of soil health. My brain wants to say soy because I'm having a thought while I'm speaking. So when we're vegetarian, we might grow a lot of crops of soy because we're going to eat soy burgers, or we're going to drink soy milk. And so you wind up with a lot of crops or a lot of the earth producing these products that we're going to consume to be for a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle. When you have grass-fed and pasture-raised animals, there is a cycle that occurs where before we got all industrialized and all efficient and like, let's just crank this food out and put it in the people's mouths. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go quick. Let's make this food thing happen. Before we started doing that, back when we used to cook our food at home and, when things didn't feel like they were going quite so fast as they do in the information misinformation age, we had animals roaming the lands. And these animals, these pasture roaming, these grass-fed roaming animals would release feces, which would be extremely nutrient dense. They're walking across the grassland, would stamp that feces into the soil. The soil would then pull the nutrients from the feces and utilize that to create a diverse, wide variety of microorganisms in the soil. and it would create soil health or healthy soil. Well, healthy soil that is rich in microorganisms will pull carbon monoxide out of the air, and it grabs those carbon monoxide molecules and utilizes the carbon as a proliferator of the life that is present in the healthy soil. And this is one of the ways we begin to have a reversal of all the carbon monoxide that we have just thrown out into our air. Like, let's not worry about this later. It might be a problem, but right now I'm driving. And I drive a car. I'm very eager to find the right hybrid for me to move to next, or fully electric car, like the Dauphine Electric, which came out in the 40s but was shut down because it was like, oh, we can use gasoline. So driving cars is not the predominant thing. It's not the only thing. It is a facet of and a factor of why we are in such an environmentally dangerous time. But there are many things that are contributing. And one of the larger things that's contributing to that is consumerism and what you choose to consume. So what I want to say is, if you're going to a fast food restaurants are not going to offer grass-fed, pasture-raised anything, because you actually have to move your cows from this lot of grass to that lot of grass to that lot of grass. Ultimately, through movies like Sacred Cow and Kiss the Ground, they're showing farmers that farmers can earn more money by going this direction, because it offers not only to help the earth, but consumers that are aware. I just went and bought some grass-fed, pasture-raised meat because I want to ensure that I'm contributing to soil health while I'm existing as a two-legged. And so pasture-raised, grass-fed animals are contributing to that soil health that can pull this carbon monoxide out of our air and can then help us to reverse the effects of what we've been doing here. But when we consume meats that come from non-grass-fed, non-pasture-raised scenarios, like a huge pen where you have cows come in, then they're slaughtered, you bring more cows in, then they're slaughtered, you bring more cows in, then they're slaughtered, and they just only roam around within that pen and are fed grains and things like that before slaughter, what happens is the topsoil starts to degrade, it starts to erode, because there's no opportunity for the soil and the grass and the health of that soil to get a break to process the nutrient-dense species to then proliferate living organisms in the soil that then can utilize the carbon from the carbon monoxide in our air. It literally kills the soil. It makes dead soil. This is how we created a dust bowl. It's just the soil didn't have anything to hold it into place on the ground, and the wind could literally just blow it in the air. And we all, two-leggeds were all wearing masks then, just like with the Spanish flu and like they are right now, because there was so much dust, just dust everywhere in the air, because the soil was no longer living. It was dead, and it was just eroding. There was soil erosion as a result of that. So one of the ways you can contribute is to support the grass-fed, pasture-raised industry. Another way you can really make a major difference is to not support those companies that utilize non-grass-fed, non-pasture-raised. And it also is a huge benefit to you, because a lot of industries like McDonald's, like Taco Bell, they're putting all kinds of things like sugar into French fries and things. Like, why does sugar belong in a French fry? And it's because it's addicting and it causes you to go back. And although it is cost effective, a lot of people are on diabetes and variant medications right now because they've been consuming these foods that don't lead to your wellness, don't lead to your healthiness. So it can be extreme if you're eating fast food a lot to just jump away from that, but can you make a slow and gradual transition? Like, okay, maybe I'm going to start by getting Chipotle instead of McDonald's, and then I'm going to transition from Chipotle to this other healthy pharmacy food place, or this little health food store that has cool sandwiches or whatever that is. So we can slowly transition away from consuming things that contribute to unhealthy soil and move more towards things that add to healthy soil. I just had some grass-fed steak that I minced into little pieces with a bunch of mushrooms. put that over spinach with tomatoes and avocado. Delicious. So good. And I didn't even put salad dressing on it. It was just so good to eat whole foods, that I know exactly what the ingredients are. The ingredients that I ate are what I just listed. There's nothing else going on there. It's just food. So, my naturopath too has said that to me that women at the midlife marker and forward usually could use some meats a few times a week at least. So two to three times at least. Don't necessarily need it every day, but so I know I'm contributing to this, and I know that I'm contributing to our soil health. Another facet of how we can save the world, save our beloved earth, save our sacred belly that we get to walk around on, that is spinning through space and helping us to have a place to exist and experience nature hikes and our life and our ability to grow and to know by having a place to be that we call home. And this is the one I use the most, is to hold earth as in your awareness as a conscious, cognitive, capable, competent entity that is able to heal itself. So when I think of earth, I envision her veins being refilled with oil and not depleted, her being able to proliferate and resolve, whatever issues she faces. I hold her as strengthened. I hold her as healthy. I hold her as healing. I hold her as healed. I hold her as, in these alternate ways. And why would that affect anything? Because everything is made out of atoms. Living organisms are made out of cells. Cells are made out of atoms. Inanimate objects or non-living organisms are not made out of cells, but they're also made out of atoms. So everything is made out of atoms. Atoms are made out of subatomic particles. Every subatomic particle has 3 quarks. What do we notice when we go to an atom? We go like, whoa, it's 99.999% empty space, and then the nucleus has this dense matter. But then when we look at the nucleus and we go into the subatomic world, we go, whoa, it's 99.999% emptiness. And then there's so you just keep zooming in on emptiness fundamentally as we start to get microcosmic in the way we look at our world. Well, what do subatomic particles do? Subatomic particles exist in probability clouds. They exist in probabilities. And it's not until there's an observer present that the subatomic particle does what I call isolocate, which is a word I'd love for us to make up, where it picks a location in the time-space delusion to exist. And then it shows up, as like, this is a pin right here in Heather's hand. That's, these probability clouds have done what I call isolocated into the particle nature of being a pin. However, when the observer isn't present, they're probability clouds. So this is some wacky truth. And I've said before, watch What the Bleep Do We Know? It illustrates this really beautifully. There's several quantum physicists and wonderful, brilliant minds that I've researched even since the film that have a lot of wisdom to share around this. But because subatomic particles are probabilities, there's possibilities of their locality in the space-time delusion. And it's not until an observer, they have multilocality. Each subatomic particle, which is everything you're made of and everything you've ever seen in your life is made of, exists everywhere until the observer observes it and goes, oh, there they are. They're my glasses right there. But when we disconnect from being the observer of the particle nature of subatomic particles, they are waves of probability. They move from being a particle to a wave of probability. That's why it's so precious and so valuable to hold in mind and to hold in consciousness as an observer that's influencing the probability waves, that the way they collapse into particles is back into a healthy earth, back into a happy earth, back into an earth whose oceans are clean, back into an earth whose veins are full of oil again, back into an earth that is very well pleased in her wellness and her grace and her health. To use the mind to influence the paradigm called subatomic probability waves to become particles of wellness in the place we call home here at Earth School Place. Blessed be.